The question, as always, are these the top stocks to buy? We're going to take a look at AMD, BA, WMT, Netflix, RKT, and in this video, we're going to do some technical analysis and try to determine the answer to that first question. We'll start with AMD, and I'm going to start on the hourly time frame because the daily is pretty strong. There's not a lot in our way, in fact. And if we zoom out on the hourly, our resistance is really way up here at 94.28. So that is good for the bulls. It's a good daily setup, and daily bulls are strong. We do have some other resistances to watch out for, and those being the high at 87.25. And then we have a little bit of an hourly resistance. Actually, it's probably going to be a 15-minute level. We'll zoom in to see if that matters too much. But resistance at 86.41. So I'm on the hourly because I wanted to point out this hourly trend. We see that we came down, we back tested, we held the former support as a resistance, and it seems to be an area of resistance as well moving forward. So as the daily bulls attempt to trek their way up to the 94.28 level, keeping an eye on this former support now resistance trend line. They often do come into play. And if we suddenly see a breakout and we see a little bit of a slowdown for no apparent reason, this may be worth correlating and putting into your notebook of things to watch out for in the future. Sometimes these are tied into expanding triangles and all sorts of broadening formations, but in general, we can expect some short-term resistance at former supports and supports at former resistances and all of that sort of fun stuff. 4-hour time frame, bulls are in control. We have our 4-hour higher low. We set that hourly channel, 4-hour higher low, higher high. Now we're looking for another 4-hour higher low. Anything over 81 is going to give us that. So what we want to see is a 15-minute trend change, and this is where we're going to take a look at that 15-minute level. There we go. See our 15-minute high. We get our low, we get a higher high, lower low, and now we are trending to the downside, almost developing a 15-minute trend. If we go and plug in our fancy EMAs, it's likely that we're starting to see, yes, EMA 12 resistance. So what do we want to see? We want to see the 4-hour higher low over 81. We want to see a 15-minute trend change. We want to be above the EMA 12 on the 15 when that happens, and that would likely have us setting up for continuation on the daily. Bulls want to stay above 40, or bulls want to stay above 81 on the 4-hour time frame. If we lose that, then we are at risk of setting up a lower high, lower low situation into a 4-hour trend change. BA, I've talked a lot about this big ugly zone of resistance. That's why I've kept this messy chart up here. On the 4-hour time frame, we managed to just squeak a new high. Bulls are very, very intent on trying to break it, but the problem was we just didn't see a solid back test. And when we get above an area of resistance, what we want to see is that area coming into support. We want to see the development of a cloud of support where there should have been something. There was nothing on BA, and we just crashed right through. So now we get a broadening formation, which we are going to, why are we showing a black line today? Let's go back to, was it yellows? Yes, yellow looks good. A bit of a broadening formation. So volatility is increasing and is the opposite of an equilibrium, but we are currently at that triangle support right now. And what we want to do is look for oversold conditions on the short term. That's going to give us a little bit of a bounce. But what really matters is we did not hold above 169.75, and this remains a very big bearish obstacle for the long-term bulls in BA to get over top of. On the short-term time frame, we saw ourselves a big drop here. Probably a 15-minute oversold bounce with no legs at all. There's a 5-minute condition. So that suggests we didn't even get close to reaching our EMA 12, which would have been right here. A nice 5-minute oversold bounce into 12 EMA on the same time frame. That is a nice bounce. So that's when I get into 5-minute oversold, that's all I expect. If we exceed that, then that is exceptionally bullish. And we changed our tune a little bit, but we didn't get a very strong bounce at all. 15-minute time frame, not much of a bounce either, and we are at risk here of developing a 15-minute downtrend if bulls cannot change this course in the short term. On the 5-minute time frame, I would need to see bulls over top of, what is our high, 150, or yes, 160.76. That would give us a little bit of a tightening range here in the 5-minute time frame, get us over top of our EMA 26 on the 5. And if they can show some strength tomorrow, we have a little bit of optimism for continuing inside this 4-hour expanding triangle. And that's all I see in the short term. Long term, I'm only interested if BA can get over top of this big ugly barrier that just continues to hammer it down. WMT, daily time frame, setting up for almost a bull flag. We're not quite, we don't have enough of a flag pole. If someone was flying this flag, I always imagine what a real flag looks like, okay? We get our big flagpole, we want to see a respectable flag. This is like a 5-foot flagpole with a normal flag. It just doesn't make any sense, so I don't play it as that. What I would look for is, can we hold 4-hour higher lows? And on this time frame, we can see that we've got our low. This looks like a higher low, but I bet you on the 4-hour time frame, it's going to be lower. So we're going to look for a trend to develop. Daily time frame, we are technically holding higher lows and higher highs on the daily. Resistance 153.33. So if we can find ourselves a trend to break out of inside maybe the 4 or the hourly time frame, and we can get over top of the high from October 1st, the bulls will be in really good shape. So let's go to the 4-hour, see what that looks like. Okay, so this is a little bit different. Not getting that 4-hour lower low. We see a base of support 139.26. So we can see a couple of things happening. This is ever so slightly higher, and then the low of this candlestick is just a little bit higher than 139.20. So it would be a stretch to call it an equilibrium, but we do have a tightening range with lower highs and lower lows. Normally, when you have this much space between highs and zero space between lows, that tends to have me favoring the direction of the more converging levels of support. So in this case, I'd expect a bear break. So what I'm going to watch for is a continued weakness into tomorrow. I would look for a bottom fish opportunity around 139.20. If we break below that, then I am just going to bail on that trade. And what I would expect are one of two possibilities. One, we see another higher low and a nice bottom fish bounce into a continuing tightening range. Or we will see, instead of an equilibrium, we will see the development of a descending triangle, which still fits in well for a little bit of a bounce, but that will see us running into resistance much quicker than we would anticipate if we were going to be looking for consecutive lower highs into a tightening range like this. So two possibilities. I don't want to see daily bulls lose 139.20, and that's that. If we can get out of this range in the 4-hour time frame, not a lot of resistance above us. So why are we doing this? Daily time frame is not too overbought. Weekly shouldn't be either. Looks like a little bit of indecision and sideways consolidation on the 4-hour for our friends over at WMT. Netflix, very similar setup. Let's compare those actually. Daily time frame. There is our WMT. There is Netflix. Now, if you showed me these two charts and I looked away and looked back and you switched them on me, I probably wouldn't notice right away because it's so close. So we're going to treat this very much as the same setup, and at least initially. On the daily Netflix daily time frame, we have resistance at the high of October 1st and then 557.39. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go into the 4-hour time frame to try and look for some way to explain this action. In this case, we see that we've got close to double bottom support, and in fact, I think we do. We do have lower lows, and then in this instance, we are a lot closer to that support level at 501.70. So early tomorrow, I would want to see some signs of strength, and I'd like to see us moving away from this level. In after hours, we're just sort of grinding at this point. I want to see a 5-minute trend change. If I saw a 5-minute trend change, I might take a speculative entry, maybe one of 2 or 3 positions on Netflix as it tries to move away from this 501 to continue inside the 4-hour descending triangle formation. What we can do is draw in a speculative area of resistance, go to the 15, and this is what we would want to see. We would want to see a little bit of a bounce, and then we just expect some sort of showdown to occur in this area where we can see pretty consistent levels of resistance on the 15. If we manage to pull all that magic off, we'll have an opportunity to break out of this and get above 529.55. If we lose 501.72, I'm not going to be too concerned quite yet. I would need to see a pretty big volume break because I want to give this pattern a little bit of opportunity to change and develop into a bull flag. A bull flag, we will expect a loss of 501.70 without any follow through. So a couple of options here on Netflix. RKT, apparently the TradingView gods gave me some new fancy colors, so I'm going to be working through these and try to adapt to them. It's always nice to know what pre-market after hours is. I don't like too busy of a chart. If you haven't noticed, I tend to clear my charts a lot. Okay, so RKT, what are we doing here? Lower highs, lower lows, a little bit of 4-hour trend change over here. And now what we're trying to do is carve out a more confident level at 21.26. What we saw was a tightening range here, and we didn't get inside bars. Well, this was one, but not much follow through. And now we can see that we've got a pretty bearish day on the 5-minute time frame. Big oversold drop, and we're still trending down on the 2-minute time frame. We've got 21.26 support. And I will look, let's check the 15 out. 15's not giving me too much. Hourly time frame. This is the sort of setup that I look for a bear flag. So on the hourly time frame, what I would look for would be, let's say, this is going to be total speculation at this point. But what we want to see is a bit of a tightening range that looks like this. So we can go to the 5-minute to see what that might look like. What we want to see is going to be a little bit of back and forth action with higher highs without any follow through. Just the inverse of a bear flag, but not really losing those higher lows. Once we see that trend develop and a loss of our support, then all bets are off. We're going to be looking for a loss of 21.26 because this is so close to the halfway point in which most flags actually occur. So there's phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. If we measure this section, we'll just guesstimate it. Be down here to 2050 if we saw a perfect drop and a development of an hourly bear flag. So certainly possible here on RKT. What do I need to see to negate that? Well, I would like to see a pretty high volume breakout, a 15-minute trend change, and I would need to see a lot of big bullish action at this point over 21.68. A 5-minute breakout would do it early on, and then a back test for 5-minute higher lows to confirm a trend change. But bulls have a lot of proving to do. Right now, downside is in favor for RKT on the hourly. All right, that is it for today's tickers. If this video was helpful, please consider liking, subscribing to the YouTube channel. It does help us tremendously. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. And other than that, thanks for watching.